live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski. Back and better than ever. This is Sleepless with Steve with Variety Viso on your potential left or right, depending on how Joe has it set up. I'm Dominic Guanzon, and we kick Steve out because we specifically want to talk the new Godzilla Kong New Empire trailer, which we were talking about literally seconds before we went live. And
whole hour dedicated to Godzilla and Kong.
The whole next 90 minutes. But the shot of I think this last shot or second to last shot of Godzilla and Kong like running at the camera looks so stupid and hokey, and not even like in a good way. It's like this is like Fast and Furious
meets Jurassic
like the
World.
Worst. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. That's actually a very, you know what? Fast and Furious has a camp of its own. The Jurassic World series is bad.
You know what's even crazier is, and look, for anybody watching, like I'm looking forward to Godzilla versus Kong for all the dumb reasons. I can't wait to watch it for those reasons. But it's really weird that we got -1 and also the Monarch show, which are more human-based dramas. Now I know that might turn some people off, but like the dramas
is Monarch good? Real quick,
Monarch is actually really good. I've been enjoying Monarch. It's another case of like, I've seen people complain online like Godzilla's barely in this, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean the show's called Monarch.
That's
like
the point.
And it's a really cool performance with Russell and Wyatt. Kurt and Wyatt Russell, where they play the same character just at two different points of time. Wyatt playing the same character during the events of.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, during the events of like.
I've done no research
Skull
on the
Island.
show. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then Kurt's playing like during the times of like the 2014 Godzilla film and King of Monsters and so on and so forth.
So it is tied to that universe.
It is tied to that universe, but it's like it's not really trying to be all gung ho with giant monsters and stuff. Like you do get monsters showing up throughout it, but it's more based on Monarch, and it does a great job at world building to make you actually go like, oh, this is how actually like an organization like Monarch would help keep the world moving along after these monsters attack, but also doing some shady shit on the side. I highly recommend it. If you have Apple TV, I think it's a very fun, like, if I had to give it like a rating, it's 3 stars for me. But I enjoyed it. I was watching it like throughout the whole time it was airing weekly on Apple TV, and I was like, this is actually like solid. They actually did a good job with this. So it's really weird that like we got 2 serious drama-based Godzillas, and then we're getting the film now from Legendary Pictures. It's gonna be just what we got with Kong versus Godzilla, just like times 10 now.
I swear to God, dude, when the book is written on these 2 concurrent series, which is the Japanese one, which is literally just Shin and -1, and then all this smorgasbord of like American made ones, it's gonna be such a night and day comparison of like, yeah, one of these is clearly better than the other.
Oh, yeah.
That's a coherent thing.
As a fan of Godzilla, like I do like the, it's really weird. I keep telling people like when they ask me like, well, what's your favorite one of like the American ones? And I tell people it's the 2014 one because I feel like that was the most true to spirit of like.
I would like to watch that again, just personally on my own time.
I've rewatched it again. I've liked it more the times I've rewatched it because I went in it when I was in high school and I was like, where the hell is he? Like
the drop. The paradrop.
Yeah, that seems awesome.
That's a great sequence. Yeah. Like that's worth it alone.
Like I think now, like growing up, now that I've grown up and I've seen stuff like Shin, -1, and other Godzilla based like drama based movies, that I kind of look back at 2014 now whenever I watch it with a new set of eyes, and I'm like, you know what? It's not great, but it is a good attempt here. I still don't like King of Monsters. Like I rewatched all of them to go see. Sure. Godzilla vs. Kong back in 2021. I don't like King of Monsters. I think Skull Island's fun, and I think King of Monsters, or whatever the hell it's called, Godzilla vs. King Kong, it's
if I had to give
fun.
Those movies a chance, I would watch Kong's Skull Island.
Skull Island and 2014
most
Godzilla to me are like the better ones of that universe right now. Anyways, here's Steve.
Gotcha.
Live on Sleepless with Steve.
What's going on, gentlemen? How are we tonight?
Good. I was just telling me and Dom were entertaining everybody with our great takes on the Godzilla movies, and
I heard that. I heard that. I had the YouTube tab in my open on my browser, and I was like, "Nah, I can't let this nerd talk persist anymore. I gotta
yeah,
join."
please
You know,
break it up.
I was on strike for better wages over here. No, you're not the first person to tell me I need to see Godzilla -1, for that matter.
I still need to see it. I still need to see it. So yeah. They extended it
My
apparently
whole
through January.
justification, because originally it was only going to be in theaters for like a week, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I went to go see it
And
opening week.
yeah, the elite marketing ploy, number one. And then number two, me and Catherine were at my cousin's we're at my grandpa's, and my cousin was there. And he asked me, he's like, "What's your opinion on Godzilla -1?" And I was like, "I have not seen it yet." And he goes,
Wow.
"Okay." And he goes, "Okay." He's like, "I've seen it 4 times. It's amazing. You need to see it." And I told him, I said,
Four
"You know,
times?
I saw Shin Godzilla. I don't feel like I need to see any other ones because I was never a big Godzilla fan. I never grew up a big Godzilla fan or anything like that." And then one of the cashiers at my dad's liquor store even asked me when I was checking out on Friday. He asked me, he's like, because he knows I write movie reviews. He's just scanning my stuff real casually. He's like, "Just see Godzilla -1?" And I'm like, "Not yet." And he goes, "Seen it twice, man. It's great."
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
That's
"Man,
funny.
y'all are some nerds, man. Where were you at with Clerks 3?" Like, but no, it's crazy to see how much that movie's taken off. I take it you liked it, Joe.
It's you're gonna see it on my best of list at the end of the when we get around to that very soon. Actually,
Ooh, very, very soon. Yes, indeed. Reminds me that I need to make my list. I'm making my list next Tuesday.
yeah.
There's still 3 movies I need to watch that I'm holding myself to watch before I make my best of list. And it's Ferrari, The Color Purple,
Hmm.
and Maestro. Those are the 3 movies. I cannot make my list until I see those 3.
I
And
have
even then I know I'm still going to miss some.
I have 5. The 3 you mentioned, along with American Fiction, and
I almost forgot about American Fiction.
there was a movie you guys reviewed, and I just wanted to watch it, but I didn't get a chance to see it. I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's tough this time of year. Poor Things. We didn't
Yes,
review that.
there we go. Yeah.
Poor Things. We didn't review that. But
Okay, I might be thinking of some other people that were talking about it on air, and I thought it was you guys.
I mean, first things first, Sleepless with Steve, live and in living color. First show in 3 weeks, I think. I was sick 2 weeks ago. Christmas was last week. Now we're back. Good to see you both. I know I kind of just erupted over here and just joined. So I appreciate you guys being on. Joe, it's great to see you. Missed you these last few weeks and everything.
Yeah.
Um, no, I will say though, like it's so tough to make a year-end film list on time. And what I mean by that is a lot of critics make them in like the middle of December because by that point they have seen everything that's been out. But for somebody like
Hmm.
me, low level over here, like, the metaphorical totem pole, I'm like the roots of the totem pole. It's tough. You don't get to see like American Fiction. You don't get to see Poor Things and stuff. There's a lot of things that are still coming out over the Christmas and New Year's holiday
Yeah.
that just don't pop up on your radar or are just inaccessible, I think, for a large portion of the country.
I was
I
so
think
pissed that what was I gonna say? I was so pissed that American Fiction, like, it seemed like it came and went, and I was like, I had no time to go see that movie.
No, that's 100% true. And these movies fool you with the commercials by saying that like in theaters December 25th and then they're not in theaters.
Yeah.
I think American Fiction came out the 22nd if I'm not mistaken.
It did.
But it was never
It's a limited release.
Of course, it's not going to compete also too with the likes of Aquaman, the Iron Claw. It's not going to compete with the likes of those.
Yeah.
Then you have Poor Things. I'll never forget 2014 was the year that I made my favorite films list. And then, like, shortly into 2015, in January, I saw Inside Llewyn Davis. And I was like, this would have been my favorite film of the year if you gave me 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Either way, we're going to make. I actually have to go and modify the schedule. I kind of made the schedule a little bit in haste today. I have to go and modify the schedule because we do have to give our best and worst shows
Yeah.
for 2023, which we will do come January. This is the last show of 2023. But it's great to see you guys. It's great to all be in the same room. Joe, it's good to see you too, man. I really appreciate you hosting, and I appreciate you making time for this and stuff.
I appreciate.
If anybody's had a busy end of the year, it's you.
Yeah, I appreciate being done with class for right now, man. I am on a month break right now. This is the first break I've had since January of this year. So since 2023 January, I've been in school. I've been in school up until this point. So I'm just excited to be done with that. Thank you again, Dom, for covering all those weeks that I was gone, just busy with classes and everything. I'm so glad to be done with it. The worst thing to come out of it was I turned in our final project, and 10 minutes later, he sent out a thing going, all right, I graded it all. And I looked back, and I got an A, and I'm like, this dude didn't read anything. All 25 pages down, just an A.
25 pages? He didn't even like pretend.
25. I studied English, and that's longer than anything I'd ever written.
Yeah.
FYI. FYI.
Yeah, no brevity part of that assignment.
You were presenting that like Paul Giamatti with that tree, weren't you?
Yeah, I was like, here it is. What do you think?
Beautiful. It's good to see you guys. I appreciate you accommodating me. 2 weeks ago, I was sick as a dog. Barely got off the couch. The last 2 weeks ago. So the only thing I kept reminding myself was that I was not sick over Christmas.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. So I hope you guys had a lovely Christmas too. Albeit a rainy Christmas, an unusually warm Christmas as well. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it here. Sleepless with Steve, live and in living color on YouTube right now. We are talking Wonka. Just a quick roundtable over here. Dom and then Joe. Dom, when did you see this movie?
This movie? I saw it, I think, yesterday. Yes. Sorry. It's a blur post-Christmas. But yes, I saw it yesterday. Just yesterday.
What about you, Joe?
I saw it, let's see. When the hell did I do? I don't even remember when I saw it. My schedule was flying by so quick. I saw it. That's all that matters. I don't remember when I saw it. I saw it, because it came out the week I finished school, and I didn't have time then. I think I saw it 22nd, 21st, around then.
Okay. So it's a little bit fresher in your guys' mind than it is mine. But yeah. I wanted to devote some time to this because me and Catherine watched the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and we watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, wow.
We watched both of them. We rewatched both of them before we saw Wonka.
Did you watch Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
I did
not. You know what I did watch, though, was the episode of Family Guy, Wasted Talent.
Yeah, there we go.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Where Peter can only play the piano drunk, and part of that episode is them visiting the Pawtucket Brewery.
Yeah.
It's like season 1, right? Or 2?
Yeah, season 1. Yeah. Season 1. It's a very inspiring episode because we were watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and during the song when it's like pure imagination, I started singing in pure inebriation. Great episode of Family Guy, Wasted Talent. If you have not seen it,
I will live by those first seasons of Family Guy. I will live and die by those. Those are just some good television.
One of the best line deliveries in all of Family Guy is when Peter drinks the beer and he's like, I bet that scroll makes the beer taste bad. But anyway, moreover, though, I guess first things first, before we get into Wonka, because there is quite a bit to discuss with this movie. I was anxiously awaiting it. Directed by Paul King, the guy who was behind the first 2 Paddington movies as well. A name that you should know. I'm talking the royal you over here. The name that you should know. What's our opinion on the Johnny Depp Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie? I got some fucking hate for giving this movie 3.5 out of 4 stars. I grew up with it. I loved it. And I rewatched it again. And you know what? I hate to admit it, but I still love it. I still think it's a very well made, well choreographed movie in a lot of ways. But I got a lot of vitriol and hate for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, my review of the Tim Burton movie. So, Dom and then Joe. Dom, what are your thoughts on the Johnny Depp movie? I'm very curious.
I saw it once and I distinctly remember everyone talking around the movie being like, oh, this is trash. This is nothing like the original Gene Wilder one. And then I saw it, I'm like, bro, we're getting into like some deep lore on Willy Wonka here. Like he visits his dad at the dentist, which I think that's a new thing, right? That's a new thing.
Yes.
And like I'm kind of vibing with this. And I didn't at the time I didn't know this, but the key to the original Willy Wonka is the undercurrent of dementedness and twistedness amongst it all, which is a point we will come back to, I'm sure, if not you guys, then by me, with the Wonka review. But yeah, and there's that meme where it's like, yeah, the thing that made the original Willy Wonka great is that you didn't know if this dude was legit going to watch those kids die. And it absolutely rings true. And I remember kind of liking with it. It's again, I think I saw that 2007, so a couple years after it came out on DVD or TV or whatever. And yeah, I remember liking it. I would need to watch it again, but yeah.
Joe, what say you?
Um, oh man, I didn't like that movie. Now I understand why people do like it. I'm not crazy about it. Because I just thought like it's just Johnny Depp just being weird. I thought actually here's the thing. I think the movie's actually fine. It's Johnny Depp I don't like in that movie. It's one of my least favorite performances from him in that film. I actually think the overall look of the film is fine. I actually like what they do with the factory and everything in that movie, and how like, you know, it looks more this like modern look to it, but I think it has like a very stylized modern look to it. There's some cool stuff with like the lore, like even Dom is saying, like, you know, how the movie starts out and he finds the Oompa Loompas and everything and whatnot. Overall, like, I think it's a fine movie. It's just Johnny Depp doesn't make it for me in that movie.
I do wonder if part of it was the Johnny Depp oversaturation.
It could be that, but even as a kid, like, as a kid when I saw that movie, I thought, like, I just didn't like him in this movie. Like, I just thought he was weird. And then when I grew up and I was like, okay, let me watch it again. Maybe I'll have a different appreciation for it. Maybe I'll see what he was going for, and as well as Burton. I still just wasn't feeling it. Like, there's something about that performance.
The catch about those two movies is that it's the title. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971 with Gene Wilder revolves mainly around around Willy Wonka. Revolves mainly around Willy Wonka. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, on the other hand, revolves around Charlie.
Yeah.
And the Johnny Depp performance controversy, I can understand, because I even think, as somebody who loves the Tim Burton movie, I do think that if they could do a redo, Johnny Depp would do that performance differently.
Yeah.
He would absolutely do that performance a little bit differently. It got a lot of comparison, rightfully so, to Michael Jackson, who was very popular at the time. It's true, though. If you go back and watch that movie, you can see a lot of parallels with him and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, though, the Tim Burton movie, that I've always held dear, is that it keeps like the paradox of Willy Wonka alive, where he doesn't love interacting with children, but he loves keeping their dreams and their fantasies alive when it comes to like his creations and things like that. That was part of it that I loved. And I also love the distinctly mid-aughts theme of that movie in giving characters needless but also understandable backstory. What Dom was talking about earlier, when it came to like Willy Wonka's dad being a dentist, it reminded me a lot of Michael Myers in the Halloween movie by Rob Zombie in 2007.
Yeah.
That like needless 20 minutes in the beginning that shows his childhood, which a lot of people criticize because it was like, well, he's not a monster, then he's a human being, and that kind of ruins the mystique. But for me, it was like, okay, it kind of justifies a lot of this behavior. Like I mean, that was go back and watch Halloween 2007. If nothing else, the first 20 minutes is fucking sick.
Yeah.
Um, but just giving characters these backstories that you didn't naturally, subscribe to them or whatever. But yeah, if this podcast, confirms anything, it's that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Tim Burton is a inadmittably divisive movie, and I love that. Number one. Number two, we'll talk about Wonka, the Timothy Chalamet movie, directed by Paul King. This is now the third iteration of Wonka on the big screen. Three Wonka movies and no glass elevator movie. We'll save that for another day. That being said, though, I was kind of taken by this movie. I was really, really impressed by this movie in a lot of ways. I think that, first things first, I love the trailer of this movie, mainly because this trailer did everything in its power to undermine the fact that this was a musical. Because musicals have not done well in recent years.
Yeah.
Whether it's Into the Heights, just a barrage of musicals. I think the last musical to do as well as Wonka has done in the theaters is probably The Greatest Showman. And that was 5-6 years ago. Where this movie, however, is like a true old-fashioned musical in a lot of ways. And just in the way its choreography is conducted, just in the way that its art direction is kind of portrayed, and just kind of in its sensibilities. It's kind of got this aw shucks sort of sensibility about it that makes it really fun. And even some of the songs in it, one of my favorite being Scrub Scrub, which is in the very beginning with Olivia Colman, who plays the owner of a local hotel that Wonka, played by Timothy Chalamet, stays at. This is the word I subscribe this movie, and I will forever relate this movie to, is old-fashioned, because it feels very much like an old-fashioned 60s, 70s style musical. And I'm not one of those people that's mortally offended by musicals, but I like this movie, and the aspect of this movie I was most nervous about, being Timothy Chalamet, actually wound up impressing me in a lot of ways. And I'm really happy about that. We'll go Dom and then Joe for general thoughts on the new Wonka movie.
I think with Chalamet's performance, because those are massive boots to fill, Johnny Depp, no, Gene Wilder, is the fact that I was scared that he would play it too sweetly and too nice, and this film may be a little bit too sanitized. And to a partial degree, I was justified in that concern. But there was a more hidden undercurrent of, like, yeah, why are we focusing so much on this dude selling chocolate? There are literal murders that need to be solved here. Some quick jabs and swipes like that, which I appreciated. But for the most part, like, okay, you know what? It's a prequel. I guess there needs to be a journey to go from Chalamet to Wilder, in terms of where the character is at those respective points in time. Sure. The thing about a musical is that it lives and dies by its music. And something about, well, first of all, okay. Let me say that, yes, the music here is okay. It's all right. It's a little mid at some times, a little catchy at others, and it had its own big shoes to fill, the music, with the fact that it's going up against Pure Imagination, one of the greatest songs to ever come from cinema. And it almost kind of sunk its own case by saying, like, yeah, you know what? The best song out of this entire musical is the one from the 70s. So this will be the theme and the tent pole of the entire, like, highest emotional points of the film. And to that degree, it kind of surrendered itself at the beginning. So at least it admitted it. There was a bit of, like, I don't know, not indie rock, but like halfway to indie rock, with some of these tunes. I thought it was all right. Scrub felt, it's a little catchy, but it's also very much what you think of. Like that's the kind of song I would write if I was writing a musical, and that's a little bit on the nose. You know what? Do you get what I'm saying here, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah. So in that sense, what do we have with the music, in my opinion, being a little bit all right, and maybe the story playing it a little too cleanly? Well, you've got the acting here, and you got the characters, and let me say kudos to all the actors here, and yes, particularly Chalamet, because everyone plays it full force. And I think I saw some comparisons with like the Muppets Christmas Carol. I mean, there's also like the aesthetic of it all, so maybe that's what people were kind of like drawing the comparison to. But something about the earnestness really struck a chord with me, and there is one aspect to the story that I very much enjoy, but we can touch on that later. So for now, I'm kind of like a middling positive with this movie. Joseph, he's setting up for something. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Got the doll.
This is Paddington, for those of you who don't know. And Paddington 2 is a personal favorite film of mine. I love it to death. It's just a pure, joyful movie that is a great time to watch from beginning to end. You have people who make stuff like Metal Gear Solid, the creator, Hideo Kojima, claiming that it's one of his favorite movies of all time. So somebody who can make something so disturbing, weird, and freaky as Death Stranding, Metal Gear Solid, all that stuff, loves hanging out with this little bear. Just so many people I've talked to just go like, yeah, man, that movie's just pure movie magic, is what some people would say. And even that first one is good as well. Paul King is a great director. And this film, I was looking forward to it when it was announced that he was directing it, and I just thought, you know what, the visual style that this man has, something like a Wonka film, whatever he wanted to do with it, because I know it was a prequel ever since it was announced. I was like, that would be awesome. He could do something really cool visually and with his direction, do something amazing with Wonka. And to that degree, this film does do that. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to be the most harsh out of all of you guys. I thought everything else in this movie was just okay. And the biggest thing that sucks the most for me to admit is I didn't like Timothée Chalamet in this movie. I actually thought singing-wise he didn't do that good, and performance-wise he was just okay. Like the opening like number that he does and everything, immediately I was like, oh no, man, this isn't gonna work out, is it?
That's the hook. That's so important. That opening for a musical, opening number for a movie, opening scene, and it's like, okay. Yeah.
He's not bad. He's okay.
It's not bad. It is not bad.
Yeah.
If you see people shitting, I'm totally interrupting you, Joseph.
Go ahead.
But like if you see people shitting on Timothée Chalamet's performance, they're just doing it for the engagement. Yeah. They're just doing it for clicks and likes.
They're being hyperbolic.
It's not bad. Yes, 100%.
It's not that bad. I've seen people say this is the worst thing they could have done to the legacy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka. And I just want to tell these people, like,
it's no bones and all. It's no bones and all. Yeah. Let's be clear on that. It's no bones and all, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Go on, Joe.
His performance in this movie, kind of reminds me of the Dune performance, where it's just kind of going through the motions of story beats that I remembered from reading Dune, and I saw him play Paul Atreides. And in here, I just felt like, okay, we're just hitting beats of Wonka's origin story. Now, with that said, I think the supporting cast here is actually good. I enjoyed a lot of the supporting actors and actresses throughout this movie. I thought they did a great job. I know he's been getting a lot of crap for it, but I actually did enjoy Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. I thought he was a lot of fun to hang out with.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That was like a highlight, dude.
I thought he was I thought he was quietly spectacular.
Yeah, for sure.
He is getting.
It's Hugh Grant, like that type of character. That's absolutely Hugh Grant. He's his own character at that point.
He won the end credits too. I will say, most fun end credits of the year.
He's getting crap for it because he's not an actor with dwarfism, and that he took the role away from someone.
Oh, really?
And I get what people are saying, but it's like I see what they did with. I see the performance he put in, and I'm just like, Paul King and Hugh Grant is Martin Scorsese and Leo. It's Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. These two they're buddies now. Where just get used to
the only way the writing of that character would have worked is if you didn't use Hugh Grant and you instead used Game of Thrones.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage,
but I think Peter Dinklage specifically tries to avoid dwarf
he
roles.
Is. Yeah,
and don't forget about Deep Roy, who played the Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton movie. Yeah. Deep Roy, where he was. It was one of the first examples too of like replicating his performance. He acted out each individual Oompa Loompa.
Yeah,
Deep Roy. In Tim Burton movie. And shout out Tony Cox. I just watched Bad Santa again too. If we're talking dwarf actors. Shout out Tony Cox. Go ahead, Joe.
So like I think like the writing they did was like he had Hugh Grant in mind. It's like this he'll deliver this perfectly. Like I mean he blows it to the flute and he's like, no, I've already started dancing. This is how you do everything and whatnot. Like, he's so good as it. And like those scenes I think are great. And they help me at least think the movie is fine. It's Timothy for me, man. And I hate to say it because I was rooting for him for this role. I was like, damn, man. I'm like, I think the kid is great in everything I've seen. I usually, I didn't think he was great in Dune, but I look at Dune and it's like no one's really great. It's a lot of setting up in this movie. There's no standout performance. Here is the time where I look at it and it's like, okay, no, there are actually standout performances throughout this movie. There's great performances, good performances, and I'm just not vibing with Timothy's that well. It's not terrible. Like, by no means, I've seen people say it spits in the face of Gene Wilder, it ruins this, it's like, dude, shut up. It's nowhere near that bad. This is
You think it's the writing as well? You think it's just they wrote Wonka too cleanly here? He could have been more aggressive.
But that was like, to me, like he needed to be like that. I think because it's like by the end, like it's supposed to kind of show over time, he becomes a little bit more cynical.
Right.
Even though the ending, the ending doesn't really go that far, but it's like the start of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Wonka 2, knowing how well this movie actually did at the box office.
You have to remember too that like Dom just and both of you kind of just took the words out of my mouth. You have to remember that this is a prequel.
Yeah.
You have to remember that this is not, and again, this really is not even so much directed to you as it is the criticism for his performance, is that you have to remember that this movie takes place before the Wonka we know, who does the golden ticket contest.
Like 30, 40 years before.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
even
then, we don't even know if this is the same Wonka that's tied to Gene or Johnny Depp. This could just be a whole new timeline for all we know.
Also
Absolutely. True. And I feel we're butting up against the intermission here, but I just want to make this point, is that I feel like I've been one of the bigger Chalamet critics over the years, especially with Dune Part 1. And keep in mind, Bones and all, if we remember, because we're coming up on a year on it, wrestled with my chalk pick, Cha-Cha Real Smooth, for best movie of 2022. And a large part of that was due to Chalamet's performance. I was intensely skeptical of Chalamet playing Wonka for that purpose. But you know what? I think it kind of works. I don't think he has a terribly bad singing voice. And I also think that when you see the scenes that are with Calalane in the movie too, when you see the scenes with Noodle, and when you see the scenes that I love the most, and I know I'm kind of biased here, but the scenes that reflect on his relationship with his mother, who's played in retrospect by Sally Hawkins.
Yeah. I almost said Sally Fields.
Sally Hawkins from Shape of Water. I do think that there is an element of pathos and connection here that I hadn't seen from Timothée Chalamet, nor that what I was expecting. I'm not saying it's a great performance. Gun to my head, I would still argue, and again, I'm more biased on the Tim Burton movie, I would still argue it might be, even though they're very different, I would still argue it's probably the third best performance of the Wonka character in movies. But I like Timothée Chalamet here. I think that he was effective as Wonka, and a lot of the movie, the lion's weight of the movie, rests on his shoulders. We're going to continue this debate. This is already going off real strong here. You can tell we've been off for a couple of weeks. We're back at it for the last show of 2023. Sleepless with Steve. Be back in about 60 to 90 seconds after this Zoom-sponsored intermission. Don't go anywhere. Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. Back and better than ever. Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube. We are talking about Wonka, the new Timothy Chalamet movie now in theaters. Making a ton of money, making a lot of money, more so than the new releases this week. R.I.P. Aquaman 2. That's all I'm going to say right now. Had no interest in seeing it, and had a lot more interest in following the box office numbers on Aquaman 2 than Wonka. Don't want to get into that tonight, but it almost eviscerates one of my criticisms. And keep in mind, I saw this movie opening weekend. I saw it Thursday night. Me and Catherine went to go see it. The success of this movie almost eviscerates one of my criticisms of it. We'll get to that in a minute, though. But we were divisive on Timothy Chalamet's performance, and I'm surprised I'm the one who I feel like is the most positive on it.
I don't think we're that divisive. I think you're just all in a little bit, and a little bit all in. But you're more all in, and Joe and I are just more okay. It's all right.
It's a good performance. It's a good performance. I'm not even saying it's great. I'm just saying that you look at when this trailer dropped, you look at it, and even when Timothy Chalamet was confirmed to be playing Wonka, and there was a lot of skepticism. I think he handled it well, especially for a musical.
Who could have played Willy Wonka at that age?
And I've seen so many people say, "Oh, they should have got Jeremy Allen White because he looks like Gene Wilder." I love Jeremy Allen White. I love The Bear. I think it's one of the best TV shows currently on TV right now. That's not me being a bias because I live in Chicago and love Italian beef and I'm Italian myself. That's not why at all. It's just a very good show. But I've seen people say Jeremy Allen White. No. I've seen people say Tom Holland. I love Tom Holland, but no.
No.
I honestly, when they said Timothy Chalamet, I said, you know what? I'm willing to go with it.
There.
Yeah, I was like,
there was a chance there for it to be an absolute home run. No, honestly, my issue.
Antonio Ramos, and you guys know, In the Heights made my top 5 that year.
Oh,
Antonio Ramos.
Anthony Ramos.
Anthony Ramos. Excuse me, I thought it was Antonio. Excuse me, Anthony Ramos. But I would not have been able to stomach the Twitter discourse about Mexican Wonka. But I'm just saying, Anthony Ramos, don't sleep on that guy. He's very talented, great voice.
Yeah, I couldn't handle seeing the
hashtag
hashtag Wonka on my Twitter feed. That would have driven me insane.
Well, yeah, with an accent on the O.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many women in this movie. I think. No. I was hoping for it again. This is wish fulfillment on my part. I just think could they have made it a little more darker, a little more twisted? Okay, let me get into the thing that I alluded to earlier that I did enjoy. The aspect of the storytelling here that I did really much enjoy is that the original Willy Wonka has this. I need to watch it again, but it has this angle of big corporation to it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's literally this estranged millionaire with this crazy factory, and there's some almost hereditary shit in terms of how he passes on this means of production is just kind of like a lineage, which is kind of weird to it. Again, Tommy shit angle on the Gene Wilder movie. But here I very much enjoyed the greater meta narrative of this literal cartel, this secret conglomerate, this conspiracy of businesses are working with the state to assassinate this young upstart,
this young entrepreneur.
Meanwhile, the gentle worker, the proletariat are slaving away due to contractual malpractice and labor abuse. Again, dumbass higher education reading of the Wonka movie, of the Chocolate Man movie. But really, I think themes like that I very much enjoy because they're prescient and I don't enjoy it in real life. So anything we can do to kind of drive that point across without making it too, is fine by me. And I did enjoy Keegan-Michael Key getting increasingly fatter in this movie. Excellent joke.
Yeah.
Great slapstick right there.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things, not to interrupt you, but that's one of the things I liked about
You
this
had Mr.
movie
Bean.
too.
Yes.
And oh, we'll get to Rowan Atkinson in a minute. But I mean, like, you have this corrupt chocolate sort of, you know, undercurrent.
I
You have chocolate cartels. You have an increasingly fatter Keegan Michael Key. You have Rowan Atkinson, who is just a, I'm just gonna say right now too, and this doesn't affect my rating of Wonka, but it's something I thought of watching it. We are gonna fucking miss Rowan Atkinson when he is gone.
Yep.
He does not show up in many movies nowadays. He does not. He's made his money. He's in his 70s. I'm a diehard Rat Race fan, and that's why I get a little like, pound the table for him over here. Rat Race was one of the first movies I watched, as a young kid. Mr. Bean, as Dom said, Rowan Atkinson is a cinematic treasure. He really is.
yeah.
And him and Paul King make beautiful music together.
Mm.
Rowan Atkinson's scenes here,
They're the best parts of the movie for me.
they're just divine.
Yeah.
They're just divine. They have this great rhythm to them. He's just a beautiful, slapsticky physical actor. And that's all I'm gonna say right now is that like we are gonna miss Rowan Atkinson when he is gone. He doesn't do
Not
a
for a
lot of
while. Not
movies.
for a long while.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Shout out you, Dom. Knock on wood. He's an exceptional actor. Even a movie that has way more of a right to be shittier than it is in Johnny English is made better because of
I like
Rowan
Johnny
Atkinson.
English.
Is made better because of Rowan Atkinson. That's all I'm saying is that like this movie, seeing Rowan Atkinson appear, he was in the trailers. I knew he was gonna pop up here. Like he's great. He's great in this. He owns his role, and I just wanted a little Rowan Atkinson appreciation here. That's all.
He
I
was
wanted to say.
almost like a second unit director for like a fifth of this movie. Those scenes where it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, this is just straight up Mr. Bean if he was a bishop, a corrupted bishop for this chocolate cartel. And it's classic, man. It's 100%
Big
classic.
chocolate.
And it big chocolate, yes. And it lends a lot of credibility to the movie as well. It fits so damn well into this movie that we had this small mini bean, mini-sode which fits perfectly into anything. I'm not critiquing that it stands out or anything. It's just I enjoy it very much so. And the thing that I do enjoy the most out of this movie is the aesthetic.
Yeah.
The aesthetic here is amazing. It's a nondescript fictional country world, whatever, with its own currency, its own culture. So you have full reign to be like, yeah, no, you can have this many brown and black people because it's fantasy. It's whatever, dude. And it's really I'm sure there's been others in recent years, but it's almost refreshing to see something like that. I'm trying to think. I can't think of any examples right now, but it's just really fun to see diversity like that without, I guess you could say, the strings attached. I don't want too much of it now. We do need some of that, the purpose of why diversity is prescient. But hey, man, it's a Wonka movie, and it felt good. Every supporting character here, Olivia Colman, and oh my god damn it, the dude, they were locking lips the whole time, dude. But yeah, those two characters at the inn were great. And can we give a couple minutes to Kala Lane's performance here? Just what a sweet role that was kind of like the heart of the movie too.
She was, yeah, absolutely.
Steve, what were you saying?
Tom Davis is Olivia Colman's husband in the movie.
Yes, yeah, no,
yes.
Does he speak like that normally? Where have I seen him before? I don't know.
Scrub's a banger. Anyway, what I alluded to during the break or going into the break is one of my criticisms doesn't really hold now because the movie's made $265+ million as of now. And one of my criticisms with the movie, and again, this was after seeing it opening night, and I feel like I liked it more than you guys, but I just I feel like it doesn't seem to have a clear audience. And
Right.
that's what I think is the difficulty with this movie. You know what it reminded me of was this year's, and again, like I feel like 25 people saw this movie, and I'm one of them. Is Haunted Mansion, the movie that came out this year
Yeah.
with Lakeith Stanfield?
Did that have
Is
an edge
that
to it?
it's it's too murky and grown up for younger viewers, but it's also like too silly and a little stupid for adults.
Hmm.
And again, this criticism might be completely irrelevant given the fact that it's made all sorts of money. It's gotten really good reviews from both critics and audiences. But that was one of my first blush reactions to this movie is that, like, I feel like it's too adult for kids and too kiddie for adults. And I don't really know where this is going to stand. And maybe that's what some of the critics thought about the Tim Burton movie from 2005. I don't know.
Sure.
But and again, like the fact that this has made so much money is that it's a little bit of a moot point, but that was one of my main criticisms. This is like I just don't know who the audience for this is. I mean, weird people like me, sure. I bought into it. I like musicals even too. I was one of the people during the musical drought, and I'm calling it a musical drought because now this movie's making so much money, it makes you think there is no musical drought. But like Into the Heights, West Side Story, musicals that did not make any money, I was over here pounding the table for them. But even those movies felt like there was a clear defined audience. I don't know how kids would take to this. And again, like I said, being a childless person, I don't know. Would I take my 9, 10-year-old to this movie? I think I would. I think I
Yeah.
would. I don't know how they'd react to it, but that's one of my only criticisms with this movie is I just don't know exactly who it's for, but it's entertaining no less.
I mean, I think it's clearly. I think it's pretty geared towards families, right? Like entire families, and of a pretty wide margin because I do wonder if the musical angle does hurt it a little bit. Maybe, well, clearly not because of the box office. I don't
Well,
know.
they didn't fucking market the
They
fact
didn't
that it
market.
was a
That's what I'm
musical
saying. Like,
either.
well, I guess the proof is in the numbers. So I don't know what point I can make from there. But I definitely know some friends of mine that would absolutely go apeshit over this movie if they had seen it. I don't know if they haven't. They might have. I need to ask them. But
Did you see Walk?
yeah,
Like,
I don't
yeah.
for me, it's just are there any Steve, you said Scrub is a banger. Joe, what was your favorite song out of this whole
Scrub
movie?
Scrub. Yeah,
That
it was
isn't
also
pure
Scrub Scrub.
imagination. It is still Scrub
Yeah,
Scrub?
yeah, yeah. I like Scrub Scrub, honestly.
Let me add a qualifier to that too, or an asterisk to that. I'll be quick. The thing with Scrub Scrub though too is that some of my favorite songs in musicals do not often translate to you just listening to them in your car, but it fits the movie perfectly. It fits the scene
Right.
perfectly, the theme and everything. Like Let It Go. Let It Go from Frozen. That's a good song. You watch it in the original Frozen when it pops up, it's a great song. It's a great song. The thing I love about Scrub Scrub is it captures the misery of that moment too. When
Mm.
Wonka realizes like he's trapped in this sort of setting
Yeah.
and he can't pay his bill and this is like the hell that he's subjected to. That's another reason I like it on top of the fact that it's just a catchy banger.
I also like Sweet Tooth. I thought Sweet Tooth was pretty good as well. But yeah, man, like I said, the songs that
Sorry Noodle's good too.
Yeah, that one is actually pretty good. And I was about to make the point that I don't really like Timothy Chalamet's like singing throughout the movie, but I actually thought that song was fine. I actually liked
It's
that one.
serviceable. It's fine. It doesn't grate on I for me a musical the opening number, A Hat Full of Dreams. That's probably one of the better compositions that I very much enjoyed, but it still has this. So, Dear Evan Hansen, the opening number to that musical.
Don't even bring that up.
I will only bring it up to make the comparison. I had to make this spicy. To only make the comparison that that opening number is a banger. Of course, I forget the name of it now, but it's a
Exactly.
pretty catchy song. Uh,
So catchy,
but
you forgot
hey, come on.
it.
But it's and Hatful of Dreams is catchy, and the shtick of him losing money in that opening song is a good one. But something about it musically does not hit the high points. Like the opening number to In the Heights, like you got Puerto Ricans dancing in the street, and it turns into a freaking Fiesta Barrio before the actual Fiesta Barrio song, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But Hatful of Dreams, it just doesn't quite hit the. What is the high point there? Uh, it,
Well, they
it
start gathering in the town square. He's an entrepreneur and everything. Like, I'm not saying it matches the level of Into the Heights, but it's
for
good.
for what it's for what it does. I guess you got a point within the Wonka aesthetic, Willy Wonka aesthetic.
I
Because
get what you're
what are the other
saying.
songs in what are the
I
other
get
songs in 1970 in the 70s movie
in the 70s,
that isn't pure
Candyman,
imagination?
Candyman. I mean, from the OG Willy Wonka movie, the opening song is Candyman,
Oh,
which
you're
was
right.
later recorded by Sammy Davis Jr.
That
Um,
Sammy Davis covered it so good, I actually forgot it was for that movie.
Cheer up,
And then
Charlie.
Candyman, the horror movie. But
That's
yeah,
a good song if you really listen to it. That is a
that's a
fun
great song.
song.
I love that
Fun
song.
song. And then I mean you obviously have the Augustus Gloop, the Violet Beauregard and everything. It's largely this is like the first Wonka movie that doesn't rely on the Oompa Loompas.
That too.
Also, too.
Yeah.
You have to consider that as well.
That is true.
I give it 3 out of 4 stars. I think it's a very effective prequel. Especially in the day and age when you have a lot of prequels that do a lot of references and everything too. I think
Yeah.
this movie stands on its own. I think its style is boosts it a lot. I think Timothy Chalamet gives a very good performance to it. It might not be as great as I wanted it to be because I will say this. I will say I wasn't blown away by it, but I was charmed by it. And for me, especially in the age of legacy equals, that was enough. So it's 3 out of 4 stars for me. We'll go Dom, then Joe. Closing thoughts on Wonka.
Funny enough, I'm also giving it 3 out of 4 stars, and it's funny because it's like we had so much
Where'd that come
disagreement,
from?
but I think we're kind of splitting at some hairs here. At the end of the day, it does its job very effectively. I was absolutely vibing with it, and I think at this point it's just me trying to want it to be more, which is an issue for reviewers. I know, which is like, oh, you just want wish fulfillment. You want it to be your movie, yeah, but not if I levied these criticisms against Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, then I think that would be wholly in the wrong here. But this Wonka movie in 2023, it's it's got that wide appeal, so I think I have a little more leeway with that criticism, which is I want it to be reach a little bit higher in terms of its music, in terms of its story, etc. But hey, man, Big Chocolate, if you can transfer that to the movie studios that we're going to talk about soon, then I think we can I think we're okay here. I think we're all right.
It's 1.5 out of 4 stars for me. I didn't think
Are you
this.
are you kidding
No,
me?
no, 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 no.
Damn!
We can argue right now.
Holy shit!
No. I just wanted to mess with you guys. Dude, it's a tough call for me. I feel like originally, like I have written down on my phone 2.5 out of 4 stars. But like I look at everything positive written down, and it's like, man, there's a lot more pros than cons here for me. And most of it is just like, oh, I love the way Paul King directed this movie. I love the performances, Rowan Atkinson, Keegan Michael Key, not Keegan Michael Key. Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Basically, everybody. I was like, this is great. I would love the role with the Chocolate Cartel, man. They seem like fun people and everything. It's hard. I'm just gonna stick with what I originally wrote down. I could see this easily like over time. Maybe I'll just like come around on it and give it 3 stars. But for me, it's 2.5 out of 4 stars.
2.5 out of 4 stars. Okay,
Yeah.
we're a little bit more in line of this than I thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
We wanted an engaging show, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, after being off for 2 weeks and everything, I'm happy that Wonka would give us that would give us that sort of show to be as divisive as we were.
Yeah,
So
actually, I was surprised about it. I didn't even see your review on Letterboxd or anything, so I didn't know where anybody was going to go with this.
No, I didn't see yours either.
I didn't do mine.
It
I was purposely avoiding it because I was like, I just don't want him seeing it.
He hated that much, you know. Joe knows I'm watching. Joe knows Letterboxd is one of the top 5 most viewed apps on my phone.
It really is, man. Like, that's why I'm like, shit. Like, I was like, I could put the Iron Claw up there. You know, he's seen it. We're not reviewing it. So I was just like, Wonka, though, I'm going to keep it hidden.
Oh, and the Iron Claw, though. I mean, we want to talk about a movie like, it reminds me of the Jimmy Kimmel line from the Oscars. Customers who also watch this movie also recommend Valium. Like, you know, like, and I wasn't even as high on the Iron Claw as I think a lot of other people were.
A lot of people are like claiming it to be like their favorite film of the year, and I see why. For me, I thought it was great.
I see why. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
I think it's a flawed movie, but like, I mean, you want to talk about? It's one of those slit your wrist movies.
Yeah.
I always, it's a terrible thing to say, but it's a slit your wrist movie.
Yeah. It's Zac Efron's best performance, though. It's definitely worth seeing for his performance alone. He killed it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the Iron Claw, and again, for somebody who like me, who like rolls his eyes at wrestling and everything, the Von Erich story, even if you don't watch the Iron Claw, the story of the Von Erich wrestling dynasty is fascinating.
It really is.
I read quite a bit about it before seeing the movie and then after seeing the movie. And I'll just say this right now. I mean, you know, I don't have much of a platform, but I'll say this though, is like there's actually a Wikipedia article about like list of premature wrestling deaths. And for a sport that that is broadly and rightfully considered to be fake and scripted and
staged, mind you, staged.
There's a lot of deaths under 30.
It's disgusting.
And it's troubling to say the very least. Like, to say the very least. Like, if nothing else, The Iron Claw, it's a fascinating movie. It's a great story. I think it's a story that would be better told in a mini-series setting.
That's what I said, too.
You know, I think there's just too much movie for a 2-hour and 15-minute movie to contain.
Because I think it was a good idea to make, of course, Zach, the brother he plays, as the central character.
Yes.
But don't get me wrong, I would love if we got a miniseries that focused each episode on the brothers and then focused on Zach's character that he played as, or even the real Von Erich, I should say. Focused from his point of view for like the last like 3 episodes that basically closes out what happened to each one of them.
I mean, you want to talk about a devastating story. Dom, I know you haven't seen The Iron Claw yet, but like, it's about the Von Erich wrestling family who had just a multitude of troubling deaths in the family, like troubling, tragic, almost
not even
inexplicable.
Deaths, just curse. Yeah.
Like, it was so... The family had so many deaths in it that Sean Durkin, the director and writer of The Iron Claw, wrote out the youngest brother who died from suicide. Chris Von Erich is written out of The Iron Claw.
Yeah.
And Sean Durkin said, because we just didn't have time to profile that story.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's really... It's one of those movies, not a movie to lift your spirits. Not
For it to come out on Christmas is bold.
And it comes out. It reminds me of Roger Ebert, the GOAT. It reminds me of Roger Ebert when Wolf Creek, the horror movie, the Australian horror movie, came out on Christmas. He gave it 0 stars. And on Ebert and Roper, after the clip plays, Roger Ebert just goes, and the thumbs up flashes on the screen. He goes, "It comes out on Christmas, isn't that nice?" That's how I felt at the end of The Iron Claw. He just goes, the thumbs down flashes on the screen, and he goes, "It comes out on Christmas, isn't that nice?" Like, that's how I felt. But no, The Iron Claw is worth seeing. Absolutely is worth seeing. Felt a little conflicted watching it That's a movie I was teetering on the half of like 2.5 and 3 stars.
Oh,
That's one
okay.
of those movies.
That
I
was
really was.
for me. That movie was just a solid 3-star movie from beginning to end. Like I was like, okay, that's how it was for me.
But what gave that movie away, or what made me cross over to the 3-star threshold, was like about halfway through the movie. It was like that family gathering at Christmas when Carrie Von Erich,
Mm.
Jeremy Allen White's gifts the dad that gift,
Yeah.
and then he starts to go a little off the rails,
Yeah.
and then it's that. And again, I'm an only child now. I got almost choked up at this. The fucking brother line at the end of that movie. The brother line at the end of, and I know Joe, you an only
Yeah.
child too. The brother line at the end of that movie, like I was like, yeah, I cannot give this
I'm an only child, but like, as someone who doesn't have brothers or sisters, dude, that final scene actually made me like tear up. I was like, fuck,
Same.
like they sold me on their love and relationship with one another. We just basically did a mini review of the Iron Claw right there.
I was gonna say,
I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about it. Like
it
it was
the
those
three of
two
us-
scenes. It was those two scenes. It was Jeremy Allen White, Carrie's character, giving the dad the gift on Christmas and having like the erratic bipolar meltdown, and
Yeah.
then it was the ending, the brother line in front of the kids with Zac Efron.
Oh.
I'm just like, I'm sitting there with tears in my eyes. I'm like, God damn you. God damn you.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
that shit hit hard right there.
I'm an only child too. I can't imagine if you actually have brothers or you've lost a brother. You know what I mean? I'm like,
of the three of us, I think I'm the only one that watches wrestling. I don't know about you guys.
I don't.
nerd.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, we get together. I see other dudes.
Dude, man, look,
nerds.
Dom, if it comes to Allstate Arena at some point, hit me up. I'll go see a match. I'll go see a SmackDown.
We watch specials. We get around and we do watch that pay-per-view. Get some dominoes. But anyway, yeah, that is something on my. When did it first hit theaters?
December 23rd.
Oh, okay, so it's fresh. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just
I might
brand
catch
new.
that. I really want to see Color Purple. There's a lot I need to catch
Do
up
you
on.
know the story of the Von Erichs? Has that crossed your radar before?
Funny enough, maybe.
Keep it that way.
Here's the thing.
Keep it
Here's the
that
thing.
way. Seriously.
So many. As soon as I saw just not even. I didn't even watch a trailer. I saw like, yeah, it's a wrestling movie, and he has a hard life. Yeah, I think there's going to be some drug use. There's going to be some like traumatic injuries. There's probably going to be early deaths. There's probably going to probably get some screwing over by money men, etc. Every wrestling drama is kind of the same because that's exactly what the life is,
Yeah.
and it's horrible. And we're treating these people horribly for our entertainment.
This is kind of like I think
They
this is
need
now,
to
like,
unionize.
This is a staple wrestling movie, almost as good as like what The Wrestler was for Mickey Rourke. Yeah, like to me, it's like that in this movie. I'm
Wow,
like,
yes.
yeah, if you're a wrestling fan or you're not even into wrestling, these are good wrestling movies that like if you're not into the sport, they'll still pull you in through its storytelling and acting. Something like the Rock one that came out with Florence Pugh.
With my family.
Fighting with my family. Like I think that's okay. Like that's an example of like something I'm like that's just like if you were a bigger fan of wrestling, you probably would love that, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, recommend it. Would not be a bad movie to review, but we got 9 minutes here. We got to touch on this because we haven't been here in 3 weeks. Let's touch on it. Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Global have held talks about a potential merger between the two entities. This is confirmed by Variety. And man, that Joe brought it up when we sent this to the group chat, how that one episode of South Park, the one special of South Park,
Streaming
I should
Wars.
say, Streaming Wars, basically foreshadowed this, and then it's coming true. Apparently, according to Variety, Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav met with Paramount CEO Bob Bakish in a lunch meeting where they discussed a possible merger where Warner Brothers Discovery, and again, let's keep this on track. Warner Brothers merged with Discovery Channel, which might now merge with Paramount. It's like Pac-Man. It keeps eating the ghosts and the pellets. It's troubling to say the least. One of my favorite tweets I've seen this week is, you know what? I got a great idea. Let's have HBO Max. Let's have Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, Paramount Plus all merge into one thing. We'll call it Cable Plus. Let's do that. That sounds like a great idea. That's one of my favorite lines with all this. You could probably guess where I stand on this. I'm going to go to Dom, though. We have limited time here, but I'm going to go to Dom and then Joe to send us home on this topic, just to give us kind of a quick roundtable.
In terms of the preliminary reactions here, yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. It's infinite growth on a finite planet Earth. There's only so much attention, so much. This article you link, Steve, the Alex Cranes article is great, and it makes some pretty good arguments for that. Yeah, no, this is not competition. This isn't even like the things they try to sell you to for these corporations and conglomerations to get even bigger, where it's like, oh yeah, no, it'll be, no, not even those arguments don't even hold water. It's just universally not a great thing overall, except for, of course, the C-suite folks who number in the dozens, hundreds, if we're being generous. And ultimately, it's just going to give us. There's many downsides, but for those that care them, or the thing that most people care about is that it will give you worse products, and you won't even get to see those products because right now Wile E. Coyote is fighting for his life right now, clawing his way out of the vault, out of the depths of the Zaslav Acme Vault 9000 to try and get, which apparently is supposed to be a parody of like a trial. It's a courtroom drama with what's his name, Last Man on Earth, Will Forte, in it as his lawyer or something. It's like, that sounds amazing. I would have been okay with a shitty Wile E. Coyote reboot, but that sounds incredible. So I'll take that for what it is. Yeah, I'll be quick. Yeah, Joe, would you want to take this?
Dude, look, I mean, do we really need to have another app become one big thing? Paramount already did that. They consumed CBS, MTV, and put it into one. It's like, okay, that makes sense. You're all under Viacom. I understand that. But now it's going to be, all right, here we go again. HBO, come over here. Get your catalog screwed all over again. Canceled probably 3 other things I like watching on there. Cut off another head of like this amazing streaming service app that we had for about a year. Like, why? When people were like, yeah, that's all I gotta say is why. Like, when people were like, oh, good, Zaslav is running it. I was like, that sounds awful. This guy's all about, like, making profit with reality-based TV shows. Why the hell would you want him to, like, why the hell would you want him in charge of some of the best, like, best story-based...
The Sopranos.
Yes, best story-based television, best story-based movies, catalogs and everything when it comes to Warner Bros. You want this guy to be the head of all that? Like, look what he did at Cartoon Network. Yeah, it's not gone, but, like, it's not really Cartoon Network anymore. Animation is, like, non-existent almost now on HBO Max, especially with its original animation programming that was based in the app. It's so sad to see that happen, and now it's, like, it's crazier, too, because you think back to, this is immediately what came to my mind, and because I even brought up South Park, but the whole crazy-ass deal they made with South Park Studios, HBO Max, to have every episode and then like the new episodes after, and then Paramount gets the specials, but then they had a new deal where Paramount now will get the new seasons after a certain year, and now it's like, dude, it's gonna become one big like corporation thing. Dude, it's like, it's gonna be like, South Park is gonna be what Family Guy is to Fox. Like, Family Guy makes fun out of Fox News all the time, and where is it aired? Fox. And South Park is going to be the same exact thing. Matt and Trey are going to make fun out of this whole scenario. They're going to make fun of HBO, Paramount. And if this does go through, they'll continue to do it. And oddly enough, where would they be found on? Paramount Plus, HBO Max merger app, whatever the hell they're going to call it.
Max Plus.
Max Plus.
Yeah, and it's one of those things.
I'm laughing at that name already.
In the thick of COVID, too, we were talking about it ad nauseum, is that, like, it's going to get to a point where they're just going to cannibalize each other, these streaming services. They're going to cannibalize each other to the point where the quality of the content is going to be sacrificed, because at least with HBO Max, you had TCM, you had Cartoon Network, you had Studio Ghibli, you had all these certain channels that within HBO Max. Well, then they usurp Discovery, and then some of that stuff goes away. It's all ephemeral, and that's what I keep telling people with streaming. It's all ephemeral. I feel like people roll my eyes at me when I still buy Blu-rays and DVDs of movies that I like. But at the same time, though, you look at some of the prices of these movies and DVDs, especially movies that are like kind of forgotten, gone by the
Mm.
wayside, that are not easily accessible, even on Vudu, where you have to pay $2.99 to watch these movies. It's just something to think about, too. Where, like, if you really like a movie, you need to either buy it or assure that you have it in your collection, because it's ephemeral when it comes to streaming. And as quick as we wrap that up, I do think it's something worth watching. And Lord knows if it happens, we will have more commentary on it. Next week, are you guys ready? Because we have got our favorite and least, or we have our top 5 favorite movies of 2023 on the docket for our show next week. Are we ready, guys?
I think I am.
It's gonna be tough.
Okay.
There's some good movies this year.
I was gonna say my top 3 is gonna be hard to single out which one I like the most, honestly.
We will have to make our little slideshows. It's one of our longest shows of the year. Yes, indeed. I'm going to publish mine to my website on Tuesday, and then have the show ready to go on Wednesday. So just an FYI, next week we have our top 5 favorite movies of 2023. The following week we have our top 5 worst movies of 2023. Super looking forward to that. It's great to be back. It's been nearly a month since we've done a Sleepless with Steve show. So it's great to be back. Joe, good to have you back. Dom, good to talk to you as well. Been a really good show between Wonka and Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount's potential merger. We will be back next week with one of our biggest shows of the year to start off a brand new year, 2024. Wish you a happy 2024, happy new year. From Dominic Guanzon, Joe Viso, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.